Hi guys, I'm Kalilo Reynolds and it's time for What's in It for Me, brought to you in partnership with the Ministry of Finance. Well, it's the end of an era. The past 6 years with the IMF is now, well, it's over, yeah? So we've officially graduated from our most recent IMF program, and I think in the future, these past 6 years will be looked back upon as a really historic and significant moment. But it's also a little bit scary because it's kind of like, think of it like this. You're a young adult, you're growing up, right? And your parents tell you that we're going to give you 4 years where you get an allowance. And after the 4 years, we'll see where things go, how you've been doing. So the 4 years finished, that was the extended fund facility with the IMF. And we graduated to another program called the SBA, the standby arrangement. So that now is where your parents tell you, well, we're not going to give you an allowance anymore, but if anything comes up, we'll pitch in. We'll help you out. Just in case something happens, something major, you have some medical expenses, something like that, we'll pitch in. So that was the SBA with the IMF. But that's done now too. So now your parents are saying, you're on your own. You can come to us for advice. And that's about it, just advice. So even though you've been doing well over the past 6 years, it's still a little bit scary that you don't have that backup plan. So now we've graduated. So I have with me the director of the IMF's Western Hemisphere department. He's Alejandro Werner, and he's here to mark the occasion of the ending of the standby arrangement and the past 6 years. Hi, Mr. Werner.
How are you? It's nice to be here.
It's good to have you in Jamaica. So tell me, how significant is it that we are now moving on from an IMF program?
I think it's very significant that for the first time in 40 years, Jamaica has concluded a program that was designed by Jamaica. It was not imposed by the IMF. It was designed by Jamaica at a point in time in which the government, reflecting, I think, the sense of society, wanted to do a significant change and move from a period where you had repeated financial instability to a period of stability. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the program, putting the house in order, spending only as much as you had, not going extremely into debt. Actually, Jamaica was able to reduce its debt, so significantly by 1/3 in terms of the proportion vis-a-vis the economy. So in that sense, basically it was 6 years of very hard work in which we supported the country, and as you were saying, our financial support was there for Jamaica in case Jamaica needed it. And in the last 3 years, in this second program that you mentioned, that is called the SBA, Jamaica didn't touch our money.
Hands off.
So what was very important...
But we were fortunate, we didn't have any major shocks.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I think going back to your example, it's kind of parents telling their kids, you have the money there, but actually in these 3 years, the kids went to school. In the afternoons, they went to work. They generated their own income, and therefore they had no need to touch the financial support of their parents. So in a sense, during this program, the safety net was there in case your income was not enough, you had it, but you didn't need it.
As a parent, I'd be very proud.
Me too, I would like my kids to do that. So I think in that sense, the 6 years gave Jamaica the time to implement their policies, to test their policies and check that they did not need it, the financial support from us, and to build the institutions like, EPOC, like, now the bill for an independent central bank, and eventually to create a fiscal council. That basically these are institutions, the central bank to guarantee that obviously inflation will remain low. And the fiscal council will be an institution that basically will guarantee that when you do your budget, you do it under the guidelines to satisfy what is called your fiscal responsibility law. That basically tells you that you cannot spend more than what you have, and that debt should strive to be lower, and eventually when it's low, to remain low.
Pretty basic.
Exactly, like a household, as you said.
But at the same time, I'm going to say we haven't been challenged greatly in the past couple of years in terms of what the next 2 years might be looking like on the global economy, because we're hearing about economists predicting a recession coming within 18 to 24 months. The oil prices spiking after the airstrike in Saudi Arabia. So now might be the time when we would want that fallback plan.
You're totally right that in a sense, I mean, in the last few years, you had a US economy that was going well, you had low interest rates in the world, and you had a low price of oil. And now, I mean, you have the risk of a slowdown in the world economy and in the US, and some people say that even a recession. You will continue to have low financing costs, low interest rates. But now, I mean, you had the spike in the oil price that might turn out to be transitory or not. We will have to see exactly how damaged oil facilities were after the strike. And then you have the trade tensions between the US and China that can flare up and generate more uncertainty. So, I mean, we're always there for countries if a negative shock hits them and they need to re-engage in a financial relationship. However, I would say that Jamaica has a high level of international reserves. It has a much better access to international capital markets. It has a credible fiscal framework. So it also has a lot of instruments to manage some negative shocks by itself. So I think Jamaica is in a good position, but obviously we're always, I mean, a 3-hour flight away, and our teams are here and our office will be here, and that's why we're here to help countries transition through negative shocks that maybe cannot be fully handled with their own instruments, although we do think that Jamaica has built important instruments to deal with these negative shocks.
Do you think that we could make it through a global recession and $100 a barrel oil prices again if that was to happen?
I think Jamaica can do it. I think they have the instruments, they have the institutions, and I think they have the political will that we have seen with the parliament that in the 6 years have
and that's been across two parties.
Exactly. I mean, political agreements between two parties and with the general society support.
What else would you say are some of those points that we still need to work on?
I think the challenges in terms of fighting poverty, in improving income inequality, strengthening infrastructure, crime.
Crime, yeah.
I think those are issues in which social development and economic development interact.
How rare is it, or how, I don't want to use the word normal, is it, that you have a country that is able to transform to the level that Jamaica did under an IMF partnership?
I think it's very rare.
Really?
I think, yeah, because the situation in Jamaica, you have a group of countries in which you have large crises, and then they recover, but the large crisis was like a one-off event. Jamaica, you have 25 years of financial instability.
More than that.
Exactly. So if you're actually able to sustain what Jamaica has done in the last 6 years and continue for the next 5 and 10, that would be something where you see a significant turnaround.
Well, let me tell you, it's a very exciting time to be here and to actually watch the changes before your eyes and see the impact that policies are having. Thanks for talking to me, Mr. Werner.
No, thank you very much. And it has been, I mean, also very exciting for us and for our teams to work with Jamaica and to continue to work with Jamaica in the next few years.
All the best.
Thanks.
That's What's in It for Me, brought to you in partnership with the Ministry of Finance. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Until next time.